Hey, this is Anthony Cesari with SuccessForYourSongs.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about 4 uncommon things about the song structure of Billie Eilish's Bad Guy. If you want more familiarity with the song, especially in how that relates to its song structure, I'd recommend you listen to that song first so that you can hear all the parts back to back. I am going to be playing bits of them in this video, but if you want to hear the whole song in its entirety, you can do that first and then come back and we'll talk about that. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about in regard to these 4 uncommon things that this song is doing is the perceived song structure of this song. And I think if you listen back, you probably thought of it in a certain way, and I've seen it talked about in this certain way. And then I'm going to talk about those 4 uncommon things, and then I'm going to talk about how I believe the song structure actually works. So first, let's talk about this perceived song structure. So what's happening here is we have the intro, and that was this part. Pretty standard enough. And then it goes into a verse. White shirt, now red, my bloody nose sleep. Okay, so after that we get to, I think, what most people would consider to be the chorus of this song, and that's this part here. So you're a tough guy, like you really rough guy, just can't get it. And that ends on the title of the song with this. I'm the bad guy. So all of that section would be considered the chorus. Guy, like you really... and then it comes out of that chorus and goes into an instrumental break. Duh. Then we're back into a verse. Now that verse is a little stripped down. That's actually a fairly common move to make the verse sound different from the other one, arrangement-wise. So the beginning of that verse is stripped down and then it goes back into the fully arranged verse. So that just gives a little bit of contrast there. Then back into the chorus. So you're a tough guy, like you really... Back to the instrumental break. Duh. And then it ends on this unique kind of outro. So I think that's how most people would break down the song structure for the song. Now, there's 4 things that are happening in this song that make it pretty unique. So one of those things is the line that's at the very end of the chorus. I believe that acts more like a refrain, which is a title, which is a line in the song that contains a title and is usually melodically independent from what's happening beyond that. It usually happens in a verse because a refrain happens in a song that's AABA, which is like verse, verse, bridge, verse. But in this song, it seems to be this part that contains a title. I'm the bad guy. Doesn't sound anything like the rest of that section. So before I was saying that whole section could be considered the verse, but here it just stands out. Not that that never happens in a chorus. Sometimes there is a standout line, but like I said, it's usually more typical to happen in a song that's in an AABA format. So you're a tough guy, like you really rough. So you can see that line sounds nothing like the rest of that section. So it's acting like a refrain to me. Not only that, but this section that I think most people would consider the chorus actually feels a lot like the verse that happens right before it. So this part, which is that chorus part, so you're a tough guy, like you really... sounds a lot like that verse part. White shirt, now red, my blood. There's the same kind of rhythm to it. The range of the vocal sits in the same location. There's not a ton of contrast. I mean, rhythmically, the contrast is different melodically, but there's a lot similar that doesn't make that second part jump out as a chorus. And a lot of times choruses are highlighted. And this time, that chorus part really sounds more like another verse to me. So that's all one thing, is that it's got this kind of refrain added on to the end of the section in a part which should be the chorus, but I think functions more like the verse. So the second thing is there's this instrumental section, which we talked about. Duh. Now, to me, that part is functioning like the hook of the song. You can almost say the chorus. I wouldn't call it a chorus probably because it doesn't have words, but you can definitely call it a hook, as it's probably the catchiest part of the song. And a lot of times, just straight up instrumental breaks don't usually happen more than once, the same way from one section to another. I mean, you could find some examples of it, but it's not the most common thing. And in this song, we are seeing that happen again later in the song here. Duh. So that instrumental break is a big part of the song, and to me, that's the catchiest part of this song, and I would even consider that the hook. I mean, it happens more than once, and it's super catchy, and it doesn't just feel like some kind of, instrumental break solo kind of part to me. So that part really jumps out at me as being important to this song. The third thing that happens is the outro is completely different from anything else that is in this song. So that's this part here. So it's ending on something that never appeared before. I mean, if that section appeared somewhere else in the song, you'd consider it a bridge. But because it's where the song ends, it's not functioning as a bridge. The bridge usually takes you to another section. But here we don't have that. We just have this completely different, unique part that ends the song. And then the fourth thing that I would say about this song that is fairly uncommon is the most any section repeats throughout the song is twice. So we have that first kind of verse part that I talked about, which was this one. White shirt, no. So that repeats twice. I like it when... And then there's that part that I think most people would say was the chorus, which is this part. So you're a tough guy, like you. But I'm considering that a second verse, and that repeats twice. So you're a tough guy, like you. We've got that refrain kind of part. I'm the bad. So that's twice. And the instrumental hooky part. Duh. And that repeats twice here and here. And then the intro and outro obviously are just once. So in songs with chorus or refrain, the chorus or refrain, those catchiest parts of the song usually get repeated more than twice. So that's the fourth kind of uncommon thing that's happening here. So as a result of those things, when I mentioned that perceived song structure in the beginning, I think to me the song functions a little bit differently the way song structure works. So it starts off the same as the perceived, which is, we have the intro and then we have the first verse. But then I would call the part that most people would consider the chorus to be another verse because it's so similar. Just listen to that again. So you're a tough guy, like you really. White shirt, now red man. It almost has a little bit of a build, like a pre-chorus, but it's still so similar to that part before it. Then I would consider this ending part of the chorus, the refrain. I'm the bad guy. Again, because it's so different from the rest of that section. Then I would consider this part the hook. Duh. And then that all repeats. And then, you go back to the outro. So I would say this is intro, verse A, verse B, refrain, hook, verse A, verse B, refrain, hook, and then outro. So a little bit of a different way of looking at this song. Maybe just a matter of semantics, but I think that's the way it kind of feels to me. So I think it's just worth exploring that, especially since a lot of times I get questions from songwriters about how much do you have to stick to common song structures. And it's usually a good approach because they've been used so many times that they make sense. But then, sometimes a song comes along like this one that is bending those rules on common song structure, whether you look at this song the way I do or that, more commonly perceived way of looking at it. Either way, that song structure is not too common because of it ending on the outro. Or that, very specific kind of outro that isn't just a typical like fade out short kind of thing. It's like a significant part of the song that's very different. So I think when you start to study a song like this, you can think about ways to modify common song structures and still do it in a way that works. And obviously this song is huge, so people don't mind that the song structure is different. So hopefully what I talked about here helped you out. If you're looking for a lot more ways to improve your songwriting, I've got a couple of cheat sheets for you that you can download by tapping on the screen here. And if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. And I'll also have links for that stuff below this video. So thank you for checking this out, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.